So today we are going to be talking about third declension nouns. So this is really exciting because so far we've only looked at first and second declension nouns. But there's one declension remaining, and that is the third declension. The important thing to remember about the third declension is that masculine and feminine go the same, and the neuter only goes slightly different. Because obviously the nominative and accusative have to be the same. Are the same for the neuter. So we are going to use the example of geron, which means old man. So hogeron means the old man. So basically, if we draw a table now, singular and plural and nominative, accusative, genitive, dative, nominative, accusative, genitive, dative, we're going to get this. We're going to get geron, that's the nominative, and then the stem is actually geront. That is the stem. So we're going to have geronta, gerontos for the genitive, geronti for the dative, and then plural we're going to have gerontes, gerontas, gerontone, gerusi. With the movable nu. So the important thing here to remember is that the stem is geront. So you see that geront, 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 and then obviously the last one is gerusi, so you don't see the stem. But actually it's like geront plus c, which then contracts to form gerusi. And then you have the endings. So the endings are just a, os, e, es, as, own, c. And obviously you might think, well, what about the nominative, singular? Well, this is always going to be irregular, or not irregular, but this is always going to be unique to the specific noun. And this will not use the stem, okay? It depends on the noun, and this can take a variety of forms. So a variety of forms. So every noun will have a different nominative, whereas the stem and the endings will remain the same. Okay? So if I was to write it in a generic form, let's just create some space. If I was to write it in a generic form, you'd have the nominative being anything, nominative singular equals anything, as I just said. And then you have the accusative, sing, which is just the stem plus a, which is the ending. Then the genitive sing, singular, is just the stem plus os. So, and then you can just see how that works. So you have the stem plus a, the stem plus os, the stem plus e, the stem plus es, the stem plus as, the stem plus own, and the dative contracts. So it's the stem plus c with the movable nu, which then undergoes a spelling change. So that should make a bit of sense to you, hopefully. So let's give you another example. We are now going to give the example of gigas. So hair gigas means the giant. So it's feminine. It's feminine. And the stem is gigant. So the nominative is gigas, the the stemnative. The stem is gigant. So just how geron is the nominative and geront is the stem, you have gigas, the nominative, gigant, the stem. So now, let's say let's do a few questions. Let's have a few questions, a little quiz. So what's the nominative plural gonna be? It's gonna be the number 1. 2. What's the genitive singular gonna be? 3. What's the dative? Well, I want you to have a guess what the dative plural is gonna be. And 4. What is the accusative singular gonna be? Okay. So those are your questions. Pause the video and have a go. Okay, so the nominative plural, we've already said that the stem is gigant, so the nominative plural is just going to be gigant plus the ending. So gigantes, easy. What are the genitive singular? Gigant. And then we know that the ending is going to be os, so it's gigantos. What's the dative plural? Okay, so this is a bit trickier. You've got to have a guess. The stem is gigant and the ending is c. So gigantsi. That doesn't sound great, does it? So that will contract to gigassi. How neat. That will translate. Go to gigassi. And then the accusative singular, we're back to the easy questions. Gigant is the stem, ending alpha, so just alpha, so giganta. And that is really that. But let's have a example with the neuter. So we've got a masculine noun, we've done a feminine noun, and now let's have a neuter example. Let's use onoma. To onoma, which means the name, hence the term onomatopoeia. So we know that the nominative and the accusative are always going to be the same for the neuter. So we know that the first two are going to be onoma, as in we know from singular to plural, it's going to be onoma, onoma, and then we need the stem now. The stem is onomat. I'll write that here. Asterisk. O, no. That's the stem. So the genitive is going to be onomatos. We've already discussed that the endings in the genitive are os. Remember this? So it's the same ending. Onomatos. Onomati is the dative. Don't forget the breathing. Onomati. And then in the plural, again, the nominative and accusative are going to be the same. And I think I've already mentioned that all neuter plurals end in alpha. I mentioned that in a previous video, which hopefully you've watched. So that's going to be onomata. And that's going to be onomata as well. And then it's back to normal onomatone, right? Don't forget the breathings. And then have a guess what the dative plural is going to be. It's going to be onomatsi. So, what do you think that's going to contract to? Well, it's going to contract to onomasi. Rather like how gigantsi is converted to gigassi. This goes to onomasi with the movable nu. So that's really all there is to the third declension nouns. Hope you enjoyed this video.